I'm Dr. Laura Murillo. I'm so excited to have our two guests today. And this is certainly something I like to call serendipity, synchronicity, or something, because I remember having a conversation with our former chairman, Arnold Gacita, who's the chairman of the Petra Foundation. He's going to talk to you more about that, Petra Cares, and Judge Andell, Judge Eric Andell. I had separate meetings with them. Both of them were describing just an opportunity, each of them going in different directions. I took that information, connected them, got out of the way, and now they're here on today's program to tell you more about what they have created in partnership with Lone Star College and a lot of other people. So first, let me start with our former chairman, Arnold. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for having us on.
Always, and so proud of you as an entrepreneur, as someone who came here as an immigrant. You've got a phenomenal story. And what is most impressive, Arnold, is that you make time to give back in a very strategic way that is changing lives. And now, in partnership with Judge Andell, who serves on your board, you all have created something that will have lasting impact on these individuals and overall as part of a strategy to help others thrive and succeed. So tell us what happened.
Well, I think it was one of those God things, right? It's not even a coincidence. It's one of those God things. I've always believed, and you know this, that if you are blessed, you should give back. I believe we're distributors of God's wealth. I tell people all the time, I'm a capitalist, but I'm not greedy, nor should anybody be greedy, right? If you are blessed, you should bless others. And so I wanted to open up a foundation, a charity, and we put together an incredible board of very well-known people here in Houston. And we started moving forward with a charity that was going to build an orphanage somewhere around the world every year. And we were also going to feed the homeless, right? I don't want to say a very typical thing, but there's a good friend of mine in New Orleans that does something very similar. And my idea was to copy that here in Houston. In conversations with you, which everybody should always have conversations with you, you recommended that I speak to Eric Andell, and obviously you had that conversation with him. Eric comes to speak to the board, pretty much, not in these words, but pretty much says this: that's nice and that's pretty, but if you really want to impact and change lives and generations to come, it's not that sexy. Here's what you should do. We did not know in the board this problem existed. I think in everybody's mind, you always knew foster care, and you thought, okay, well, foster care, children have been taken away from their parents for whatever reason. Somebody's taking care of them. We didn't connect the dots to what happens year after year, and after a certain point. So Judge comes in and tells us, look, when these kids either graduate or get a GED or quit college for that matter, they're on their own. They're out of the system. 90% of them will not go to university. Within 3 years, 80% of them are either dead, in jail, or homeless. The average life expectancy is 23 years. And here is this group of kids that basically, just because of the way the system is, have been abandoned. Now, there are homes that pick them up and feed them and things like that, but nothing else. And so our board, after Judge coming in and speaking to us, decided to do a complete 180 and forget about my idea and start doing what was needed, not only here in Houston, but nationwide. We're expanding the program now to Los Angeles and Galveston, but what was needed here in Houston and nationwide. And so we started working and developing a plan that would help kids exiting the foster care program for whatever reason. Parents were taken away, or they got in trouble, or they're in the court system, and young homeless adults. In a partnership with Lone Star College, we bring them to Petra. We teach them how to be a technician, and then our customers, our dealerships, hire them to be a mechanic. So they leave our program with a job, and thanks to God and the help and the donations of everybody that's helping this program, we're changing these kids' life tremendously. It's a 7-week crash course, and you leave out of here unless there's an issue, with a job. And we could have done it without God, you, and the introduction to Eric and Judge coming out here and slapping us around.
Well, Judge, jump right on in.
Well, I will. We actually met with Judge Moore and I were at that breakfast, and we were talking about the needs of our children. There's two sides of the juvenile system. One is the juvenile side where the kids have gotten in trouble, stubbed their toe, and the court deals with the activity, that quote alleged criminal activity. My side is the the CPS side, which means that I have kids in foster care, the abused kids and mostly neglected kids. And I've been doing this, Laura, a combination of this for 34 years. I've been on the bench 34 years. I know how could that be? I get that that's impossible to have been a judge 34 years, but yes, it's true. And I know it's impossible. And, but I've always known that what the breakdown is that at 18, they've improved that programming, I have to say. And part of Petra's success is that CPS has improved that programming to keep the kids in the system while they can stay in the system while they continue this program, which does provide housing and other elements that we're not going to get involved in with the Petra care part of the program. So I drove out. You called me, actually, and gave me the phone number. You gave me Arnold's phone number and said, will you meet with them? And as you know, Arnold, Laura says jump. It's a matter of how high. We're not
right. There's no question.
We're not talking about if we're going to do it. So, Laura, I went to some place in the county that I've never been to before, and the GPS didn't even know how to get me to Petra, but I got there. And this was not dissimilar to other folks that I've met with. When I walked in, it was chaos. And the reason it was chaos is because there's so much to do. It's overwhelming. You could start a program that would buy a kid a cup of coffee every Friday, and it would be welcome. I mean, there's nothing they're like sponges. There's nothing you can't do for these kids that wouldn't be received extremely well. But it's never been systemically done. I've never been part of a program that had a beginning and an ending self-contained. So when I went out to the talk, that's kind of what I was saying, what Arnold was saying. I talked more present tense, like the kids we have right now that are getting ready to be kicked to the curb. That's my term, not anyone else's term, but it's vivid enough for everyone to understand. If it's a female and we're expanding our program, thanks to Arnold, to young women, they're just short of being trafficked. We know that. The predators wait for them to leave the facilities, leave their foster homes, and offer them the world. And the next thing you know, we've got a trafficking issue. So when I talked to the board, I said something concrete, something that has to do with education, something that has to do with ego, self-satisfaction, and some measure of success. I didn't define it for them. Matter of fact, this is not the first time I met with any group. The odds of something happening are not very good. It's overwhelming. So I left the meeting after. And thank you for the lunch, Arnold. And I thought that's what this was going to be about. Nice lunch, nice Kiwanis Club speech, and I'd be on my way. And I get a call when I say not too long ago. I'm speeding the timetable up. Arnold said, "Well, here's what we're doing," and I'll be doggone. We've had how many graduation classes now?
Three graduating classes, and we're on our fourth class right now.
And we're talking, Laura, we're talking about kids that you wouldn't have bet, they wouldn't have bet on themselves. If you had asked them, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? They say, at best, I can see 5 minutes from now, but 5 years from now? And now these kids, there's a waiting list. I mean, why wouldn't there be, right? We get them driver's license. We get them a job. They go to college. These kids are in college. Whenever I make a speech, when I go out to see the matter of fact, I invite you, Laura, to come out and see while they're in class, while they're in the class. It's just terrific. And I say to them, would you have ever believed, looking out there, how many of y'all would believe that you'd be in college right now? You're in college. How many of y'all believe you'd be going to college? And the proof is in the pudding. We have 3% of our kids that make it to college. And after that, what's the graduation rate? It's almost nil. It's
It's nationwide. The graduation kid of foster kids that have been adopted is 2% nationwide.
Right.
And our graduation class, where these are kids that have not been adopted and are in some situation, we're right now at a 58% graduation rate.
We have an attrition. It is phenomenal. We have an attrition. Of course we do. These kids have a lot of habits that didn't start yesterday. And we are working through that and processing that. And we've even expanded on the side. We brought in a few juvenile kids now so that we can expand our universe. It's the same kids, Laura, CPS kid and a kid in a family that has these juvenile issues, the same families. So that's how this all began.
And I know it's only begun, and that's the truth. So I want to thank both of you, Judge Andell, Arnold, for doing this. I look forward to seeing you all at the big gala. And I know there's still a lot of needs. So if you want more information, you can certainly visit Petra Cares. You can find them online. And again, my thanks to both of you. And we were all in the right place at the right time. So
Really were.
Thank you for circling back around to let me know the success of your program and continue doing great things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.